Welcome to Fact or Freestyle.
People love Dave Nourie, and they always answer the phone when he calls. When we get him on Zoom, we ask him to confirm rumors.
Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we go.
Scott,
Well, I just sort of hope that nobody gets on here first. Joe, that would be embarrassing if they came on before the time.
Hey, you got it?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
We can hear you, Scott.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, yeah, that's fine. It's weird. All of a sudden, my computer screen just turned into a giant phone symbol.
Yeah, that's because that's what's talking.
Oh, there's Scott. Hey.
hey.
So you guys know each other, right?
God, man. Freaking pain. You know what? This is going to sound crazy. I've never Zoomed, never been on a Zoom.
Oh, whoa.
Whoa.
I'm probably the last person in America that hasn't been on a damn Zoom. I went on it like in the beginning of the pandemic. I was on one with my family, but the girlfriend hooked it all up and had it going. And I walked in and she had it like just fired up. So I didn't see how she did it or anything. So I literally, that was the only time I actually did a Zoom. And yes, I've never done it.
Well, we had a few, Scott, just so you know, since we've done this show, Joe and I have run into that a few times, right, Joe? I can't even remember who it was. You might have a better recollection, but there was several that it was the first time.
I get commission checks when I bring new people onto Zoom, so I'll just check my bank.
It's weird because on the computer, there's like a mixing board. It's showing that my online and the Zoom meeting is showing the volume. And then on the Zoom, it was showing that I'm not muted. And it's a Logitech, one of the newer, I think it's like the 922 webcam. So I don't know why the audio, like, it doesn't make sense. I could hear you, like, on my surround sound speakers. I could hear all you guys fine.
Surround sound, that's cool.
Nice.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you see, I'm at my spot, my riding spot. And I, instead of like where people just have a radio, you know, or if they even listen to music or if they have earbuds, which I don't like when you're riding, I put, I think it's 11 or 12 weatherproof speakers like around the area, and you can have them on a lower setting. And when you're riding, or so if you're riding with somebody, you can talk like normal volume and everybody can like hear, but you can also hear the music and it's not ear bleeding. And wherever you go, it's like there. It's awesome. Pretty awesome. And then they're like in the trees. So you really, the couple are on some poles, but a lot of them, you can't even see them. You're just riding around, you just hear music.
That's cool.
That's a high-tech spot. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's actually pretty good. I sent Terry a message. I'm like, yeah, now you need to get weatherproof speakers and put them around your spot so that you could just have music playing and it's not overbearing, but no matter where you're at, it's like the same.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Send him the light setup. Scott's spot has no shadows. And when he finds the faintest shadow, like, you just ran a couple more lights, didn't you?
I was going to say, I didn't know if you knew that. I thought I told you, but I wasn't sure. I just put 2 more lights up.
Well,
and they're
awesome.
Joe, did you get those same lights? Because I sent you Dave's cousin that did the lights. Did you get those for your spot?
So I talked to Dave's cousin. He was going to quote me up, but he thought I had all of the outlets and stuff, and I didn't. And so what I ended up doing was I just bought these Amazon Chinese LED lights that you string together. And so I've got extension cords going up to the ceiling, and then I have those things, and they're really low draw. So, but yeah, I've got LED, but they were not from Dave's cousin.
They're not from his cousin. Okay. No, just as long as you got the LEDs, because it makes a world of difference. And obviously the white light, not like the 5000K, not like the soft light or anything like that.
Yeah,
That makes a huge
5,000K.
difference too. Yeah, 5000K. And then it's like, it looks like a Lexus dealership, like you're at that Lexus dealership at night. I mean, it's that bright.
Because here we have Joe. I mean, let's just stop and just take this all in for a second. Look who's on the call right now. We got Hagnas and Powell at the same time.
My mentor and my trainer.
Yeah, and for me, it's like the longevity that you guys represent in both the sport and both what's going to be inspiring to the years to come, and that's just awesome with both you guys. So the quote that I found was from Rob Lowe, and he said, "To achieve longevity, you will have cycles. No one gets there in one straight shot." So I just wanted to kind of put that out there as far as the thread that we're holding with this particular cast that we want to hold the longevity. So Scott Powell, we had earlier we asked everybody what we thought you had for breakfast. And I think Joe said oatmeal. No, that was Scott.
That was me.
Scott said oatmeal. I said yogurt and granola, and Joe said peanut butter and jelly.
I didn't say anything.
No, you said something.
No,
Hey,
no,
I
I didn't tell you what I actually had. What I actually had. So we found this food truck in the neighborhood.
No, Joe, I'm asking you what you said Scott had.
Oh, this is what Scott had. Scott had blueberries and a peanut butter sandwich.
And peanut butter sandwich. Okay, so drum roll, please. Scott, what did you have for breakfast?
Actually, this is kind of uncharacteristic. I wasn't quite hungry, and I was running a little late because I had to do a couple stops before I did this. So I literally just made a cup of emergency, drank a cup of emergency, and that was it.
Oh.
which I usually do have with like blueberries and like the sandwich or something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So
None of
Joe,
us were
I
even
think-
remotely close.
I think Joe was on. Joe's the winner.
Right, but
Okay.
it's just a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, because again, longevity, I think, we get more and more aware of diet. So we kind of watch what we eat or are more aware of what we're putting into our bodies. Okay, here's the other kind of opening. Like, I want to know, Hagnas, what did you do 10 minutes ago? Or I should say 10 minutes before the call, because we've been waiting to get this call.
You're right.
10 minutes before we started. What did you do 10 months ago? And what are you going to be doing in 10 years?
Okay.
Just
So
to kind of like,
10 minutes ago, I was completing the second half of shaving my head because I got interrupted halfway through. I'd gotten pretty stubbly. And I literally had my chin beard in the back of my head still to go. So I finished that right before coming on.
okay, good.
And then what was I doing 10 months ago? Which would have been, let me think, that's September of last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have been, was that the jam that you came up for? Was in early September?
10 minutes ago? Okay.
Yeah, that would be the one thing I remember from September. It would have been one of the final months before the gym closed. So I was kind of scrambling there, getting things. And then what am I doing in 10 years?
Or what do you foresee in 10 years from now?
I still foresee trying to ride as much as I can of whatever I can be doing at that age, So I'm definitely going to try to keep going until the bitter end. Probably still doing what I'm doing now, but maybe, scaled back a little bit.
Nice. Cool. Okay, Powell, you're up. So what were you doing 10 minutes ago prior to the call? Because I know you were trying to get on.
Yeah, trying to figure this nightmare out. I was just getting stuff ready I got a kind of a side project thing I've been working on with this guy, Mark, from down in Florida. And we actually, so you're familiar with the Ezra Free Coaster Hub?
Mhm.
Yes.
At least Joe is, I think. So Eastern Bikes makes it. I think Salt Plus does a copy of it, and a couple other people do. Anyways, I'm trying to get my 26-inch Flatland or mountain bike or whatever you want to call it, bike to weigh the same as my traditional BMX bike, which my traditional is like front and back brake. I figured if it could, I could go back and forth from bike to bike, and the weight difference would be basically the same, so there would be less adjustment period. I have an Ezra free coaster on that bike, and one of the things was, man, if I had a titanium axle, it would help. Not a ton, but it'll help a little. So I actually had Mark make me a titanium axle, and right here, I got it on the prototype, and there's a couple of little blems with it, but it's, it's titanium. It's literally like half of the weight. I think it was 3 ounces. So we're trying to get that. And then if I can get it and work it, we're going to make like 10 or 15 of them to sell as a limited thing for anybody that has those hubs that might want to spend some money and have tied.
Oh,
Cool. Okay. And then 10 months ago, what were you doing? You're
That was
probably building your mountain bike.
That's like September-ish.
September.
Well, we had reopened Chenga because the pandemic had kind of lightened up a little. And I was either working the park or I was here riding, because September is still awesome to ride, and basically just riding every day or at the park, working the park.
Cool. And then 10 years. What is Mr. Powell going to be doing in 10 years?
Now, hopefully.
Or you can do a prediction. You can predict, like, it doesn't have to be like even what you're doing. Like, you predict in 10 years.
In
what?
10 years, well, the goal is to keep building your assets up to gain more passive income so that you don't have to work. So hopefully I'm long retired from, quote, working at that point, and basically ride and explore whatever. If you're in Hawaii, if Bobby Carter's still there, you're off like through the jungles. Maybe hit a new country you haven't been to. Like, I haven't been to Japan yet. So just let's go ride with some guys and then go tour around and, check out different scenes there, scenic places there, or just around the world, really. So the goal is to get it to where you're only worried about what new trick you might learn that day and what new thing you're going to find in the world.
I've been spending months learning double whiplashes, and just last week I started getting triples. And so I got a couple of triples today. Pretty stoked on that, but like, I'm just doing them.
Straight line or straight line or in a circle? No,
I'm arcing them. I haven't done a full circle, but I'm getting like 180, 270, because it'll be there. It's pointless to do them straight. I mean, when I first started doing the doubles, I was doing them straight, and I was like, I'm never going to be able to really have fun with this trick if I can only do it straight. And so I ended up, it's so cool because like what Todd Carter would always say, you have to push forward farther than you ever thought was practical. But what I found was that if I'm looking straight down and the tire's here, if I kind of put my head and my eyes like right here, then it works. And so I found that balance point. I'm super, super stoked on it. Okay, so that was 10 minutes ago. 10 months ago, September, this is when we started this show. And I believe I had reason to believe that the Terradome 3 was going to be sold.
Right.
And I was a little bit dreading, but I think I like the guys, because it was in a small complex of industrial buildings and they were cleaning one out, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to be next. But turns out I was next.
But it turned out good anyway, so.
Oh, it was the best. It was absolutely the best. The spirit of the Terradome is not to be trifled with.
Okay, so 10 years from now. So I guess that ties right into 10 years from now. Yeah,
10 years from now, I will be on this. I'll be living in the Terra home, and I'll be riding. There is nothing that I have enjoyed so much in my life as riding, and there's no reason to stop. I've set my lifestyle up such that there's I've set my lifestyle up to be able to do this,
To ride.
and it's just gotten even more so to ride. Like I bought a
Joe,
house with a 40x40.
Can you put into words, like briefly, I guess, how different and how good it is to have your spot at your house?
So
No travel time.
no, it's no travel time. It's the level of stress that disappears is unbelievable. Now I'm still like dialing it in. There's like, when it rains hard, I get some water, but I'm not discouraged by it. It's just little dialing.
Yeah.
It's it's unbelievable. And what's really cool is while I'm riding, I'll find something that like I could tweak, or I'll be like, well, maybe I'll do some venting here. So it feels like also I'm taking another level of stewardship over it, which feels really good as well.
Yeah. And if you improve anything, like let's say put in venting, it's your own. Like you're improving your own place versus you're like renting and you're fixing up like the landlord's, stuff that you eventually will leave. It's like if you ever sold it, I mean, those are all little nuances that can be pointed out that just add value to like your spot, your property.
Yep. I rented Terradomes for 8 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, Changa is in one hand, I feel bad that like we're renting it. I know we've been renting for years, right? But in this other hand, it's like the park is its own business, and it does well enough that it allows this extra weird little room that we can use to ride in.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we're riding for free,
Mhm.
but if we didn't have the park paying for it, I would have had to have done like kind of what Joe did, which is get your own like building at your, like I would have wanted to do it like at your house.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where do you
Okay,
ride,
so-
Scott?
I ride at a closed elementary school near here. It's like 5 to 7 minutes away from the house, so it's not too far. But you do have, sometimes you go there and there's a bunch of little kids or, radio control cars running rampant.
Yep.
But there's a good group of us, upwards, I think 7 to 8 of us, if everyone's there, that ride now. So we actually have a real scene of Flatlanders. So
That's cool.
that's pretty cool. But I was to say I have not done the home spot thing. I'm gonna do this, really change my filter here really quick so you can see.
Yeah, you have space, Scott.
Yeah, so Dave's been here, he's seen it. So this is the backyard. It's basically almost 3/4 of an acre in the city. So I have plenty of room. I've thought about making a spot here. There's a leveled spot that's actually graveled in the back there already. So
Well, I remember riding there though on your little patio.
yeah, right where I'm sitting. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, we rode. Yeah,
Downstairs.
that's right. You were riding here. Yes. So this wasn't here then. There's we made an outdoor gym area, which is what.
Oh, nice.
So half that spot where you were is this thing.
Got
now.
it.
But
Okay,
I can actually do a little bit of a spinning type trick inside of there if I want.
Oh, cool.
Cool. Okay, so 10 minutes ago, speaking of houses, Paul and I are selling our school, or the house that we were running our preschool out of for the last 15 years. So it's a bit of a bittersweet. So I was literally doing the last thing, which is wash the windows and like clean all of the floors up. And we're putting it on the market tomorrow. So if anyone knows of anyone in the market for a beautiful house in Ashland, it's going on the market tomorrow. So that's what I was doing 10 minutes ago. And 10 months ago in September, well, I remember going to the jam. That was pretty awesome. And I did a new trick.
You did a
And
new
what
trick,
it
yeah.
was, and whenever I'm around Scott Hagnas, I always am inspired. I just want to give you a little plug here, Hagnas, because when I did the Master of Creativity, you were the first one that videoed my my Miami hopper spin, and then I did a no-handed, which I had never actually did that.
Yeah,
or
down in
pulled
Long
it.
Beach, right? Yeah.
I actually rode out of it, Joe. So I landed it, and then I rode out of it, and then Hagnas got it. So that was my first trick for mastered creativity. And then when I was up there in Portland about 10 months ago, I did a swivel to bar spin swivel to like stubble duck.
Yep,
Like
I remember that
basically
one.
bar
Yeah.
spin, bar spin, swivel, stubble duck. So that's what I did 10 months ago. And it makes me think of, Scott, I need to get up there and ride with you more, because I'm always, I don't have a scene here. I teach kids, and that's great,
Yeah.
but it's not the same. And then 10 months from, or 10 years from now, I'm kind of on the same line as you, pal. We're selling this house, we're downsizing. I don't have a spot here yet. I'm thinking about it. I just been reluctant to dump, 10 grand into a slab. That's what I'd have to do, and then eventually build a building. But I want to get to the point where I don't have to focus on my livelihood in order to support my family. And that consumes my time so I can ride more. And that's kind of where I'm at. And then doing the workout recently that I started with Scott Hagnas, that's been life-changing. So that's on the road to that 10-year plan for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely good. It seems like even if you didn't ride, it seems like the goal you would want to get all your time, especially when you're getting older, because obviously you start realizing how much more valuable it is and how much you treasure it. So it seems like you want to get it where your time is free. And by doing that, you'd want to build up somehow passive income where the money coming in is way above the means that you need to live.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're only making $1,000 a month, but you're living out of a RV that's paid off, and if you're stoked on it, then man, you can go anywhere and do anything you want.
Yeah, that's your financial freedom right there.
Yeah,
Hey, Joe.
Yeah. Oh,
Maybe
so Scott Hagnas told us a story that he saw Joe Grotola getting very close to a no-handed whiplash. And well, Scott Hagnas, why don't you tell a story?
Yeah, the short version is I went to whatever the Velodrome, AFA Masters Finals was. The last year it was held there, which was 87, I think. Yeah, 87.
88, something like
Yeah,
that.
it was 87, yeah. And after late that night, we all went down to the spot in Redondo, a whole bunch of people, and Grotola was there riding, and whiplashes were pretty new. Everyone was doing them, but there was a brand new trick. And I remember him coming out, no hands, kicked the frame all the way around, and it got over to the other side where he actually attempted to go for the pedal, like for a Rideout, and never seen anything like that. And he was clearly had worked on it because he got the frame all of that far around. But I never heard of the trick ever again. When I saw it, I assumed 6 months, it'd be in videos and whatever. But he disappeared not long after that, and that trick I never heard of anyone that saw it, and no one ever tried it until recent years, like Bonicelli and Dabrowka, started doing the no-handed whiplashes, but decades later. So I wondered, I had asked Dave when he was up here, if being as that they were teammates at the time, did he remember that trick? Because I've always remembered it, but I don't know. Do you have any memory of seeing something like that or hearing about him trying that?
Not Grotola, but it doesn't really surprise me because when he kind of blew up, which was kind of a real short period of time, he was like the new hot kid, and he was doing all like the newest stuff. Like he realized, I should probably watch Kevin Jones because it gives me a clue as to where stuff's going. And he was very progressive. And you remember he was riding with Rick and Dennis and that he was like on the cutting edge. So it's not surprising, but no, I never saw him do it. I mean, the first time I saw somebody really do it was, like you said, was decades later. Was it Brandon, right?
Yeah, Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah, he did it, and super dialed. But isn't it weird how there's tricks? I got one for you. So
wait, Scott, we lost your video, Scott. Something happened.
No,
with
I
your
got
video.
him. It-
Oh,
I- it's
got
just that
everybody.
he's talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Oh,
good.
I got it. Okay, got it. No, sorry.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
good, Scott.
but to finish that, it's weird how there's tricks where somebody will try it or basically do it or be on the cusp of doing it, but then they just don't for whatever reason, or it's just not documented, whatever, and then it's just gone for years and years and years, and then 10 years, 20 years later, somebody comes back and does it, and it was like, oh yeah, like that with Joe. If you want a quick story with me and Wilhelm, I got a quick one about the same kind of thing, like trick like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you remember Gravity Games? It was in, I think, Rhode Island and then Cleveland for a couple of years before it went to Philly and then like blew up. But Mountain Dew did Gravity Games, right? And it was their take on the X Games trying to compete. And they didn't have Flatland, but they did have a Flatland demo where they had 5 of us ride right before street contest just to show, hey, here's Flatland. And I believe that was only in there because Dennis like pushed for it like that. So that's actually really cool. And it was me, Dave Smith, I want to say Trevor Meyer, Wilhelm, and oh crap, there was a 5th one. But anyways, in between we had to ride once a day. And by the way, that was like way better than the X Games because we had a half hour to 45 minutes to do a demo with 5 of us, and we were all like top dudes at that point, right? So think, you're not even warmed up, and they're like kicking you off to let the street riders practice. And we got paid, I think we were getting paid like over $500 a day, something. And that was all we had to do, and we had all access passes. So there was like absolutely no pressure. And we'd go out, we'd be warming up, and they'd kick us off, and then we got paid more than if we were like rode and did good in X Games. It was awesome. But anyways, so me and Matt were riding in this area kind of around the corner where nobody knew. And I was trying to learn Blender at the time, and I could pull up and get above it, and I'd start to go to pedal, and I'd always fall off. And I was like, hey, Matt, kind of like, what am I doing wrong? Because Matt had him super wired at the time, right? And I could do upside down pedaling mega spin. So he gave me some pointers, and then I was like, he had him so wired, and he could do upside down. He could do the pedaling, the blender to flip to upside down pedaling mega spin, right? And I was like, Matt, like I thought of this, but this is past me, but you got these so wired, I think you could do it. I'm like, you should be doing the blender, flip to upside down, but don't do the pedaling mega spin. Keep the rotation going in the same direction and jump back up, almost, because I had upside down decades wired at that point. I'm like, almost like an upside down decade, but then you land back into a blender. And so I'm like, it's almost like blender up, like decade back to blender, but you're starting the decade at the top point going down and then up. And years later,
do you foot jam?
You would end up foot jamming, yeah. Like you'd be on the pedals, you jump off and you'd be on foot jam, and then you have to switch your feet, and then your foot would come around, and then you'd like kind of straddle like a horse and get back on and start pedaling again. And years later, there was the little Japanese kid doing a mega spin.
Yeah, who was it?
Wedging and stepping into the blender. And when I told Matt that, like years ago, he was like, he gave it one shot, and he was just shook his head. He's like, no way, dude, you can't, you're not doing that. And I was like, Matt, you got me so wired, you could do this.
Matt would be the guy to do it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. He without a doubt. I was like, learn this. This is like a good, like, you know, because we were both in X Games at the time. I'm like, this is like a banger for X Games. And he just kind of blew it off. But that'd be one for a little Coy to learn, because he's already doing that. So he could be doing the blender, drop down to that, and just skip his feet and then hop right back up to it. It'd be good, real good. But
Okay,
anyways, that's just an example of
Yeah.
tricks that were there years ago and just kind of got lost in the
Yeah.
universe and then end up coming back.
Hey, so I have something that just reminded me.
Fact or freestyle? A shadowy cabal of elite riders engage in the practice of contest insurance to calm their nerves before the final battle.
Powell, have you ever participated in contest insurance?
No. I'm not even sure what it would be.
I never participated in this. So contest insurance is when you get down to the final battle, and then to take pressure off, one of the guys for first and second says, whatever happens, we split the pot.
No, I've heard of that, but I've never partaken in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
real.
Hey.
Oh, you're asking like, is it real?
Yeah, is it real?
I would think it is. There has to have been a point where guys were like, yeah, we'll just split the pot and we're just going to go out and ride, and whoever wins, but we're going to get the same money. It has
But no one has
never
told you that they've participated in it. Like, you don't have secondhand knowledge of this.
I don't have like concrete knowledge of it, but it seems very plausible. And it's almost like a little different because it was you're talking legit contest, but it's almost like us doing those gravity game shows.
That's
like
what
we
made
were
me
all
think
out
of it. Yeah.
riding. We were all out riding. We were all out doing real stuff, and we all got paid the same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I want to say Jesse was there too, but anyways, yeah. And it seemed actually, like I said, a lot better. Like there was no pressure. It was, hey, let's just go out and we'll try this crazy stuff. If you hit it, awesome. If not, okay, try again. And you knew everybody's getting the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember we brought it up on some call, and one of the street contest, they did say, do you remember, Joe, who it was? One of these calls.
We asked Matt Berenger and Adam Banton.
Right. That's right. Just a couple weeks ago. And they had said that there has been some contest.
It was on MTV that Berenger was in like an MTV contest with a bunch of dudes, and they're like,
and they were gonna pick who won, right? Remember they said, okay, well, just the riders pick who actually won. And
no one did.
And no one did. Like, so then they just go, well, we have to have a winner.
So
MTV
MTV
all the riders
picked
didn't want to
Berenger.
pick anybody, right? And so then ESPN said, no, we can't have a contest and not have a winner. So Matt ended up winning. It's great. The show will come out. You'll get to watch it. It's coming out in a few weeks. Okay, good. And Hagnas, what about you? Have you heard anything about contest insurance ever?
I haven't heard it called that. I believe I've heard probably like third hand, and not in relation to flat contests, more like
Okay.
dirt jumping or
Really?
maybe.
Okay.
So this goes beyond Flatland. This shadowy cabal of riders is larger than just Flatland.
It seems much more plausible for smaller, like if we had a contest at Chenga, I could see like the guys at the end going, oh, there's only 4 of us. Okay, we'll tell you what, let's just go wide, and then we're going to split this even, and whoever gets first, second, whatever, you get the trophy, but we're all going to split.
Fact or freestyle? Jerry Baggs pooped his pants and still got podium.
Okay, speaking of
like
contest
little
in Chenga, we heard
Oh, no.
something. We need you. This is Chenga 1. Catfish was announcing, okay?
Oh, God.
Joey Baggs,
Oh, God.
apparently,
Oh,
he shit his pants mid
you know what?
720.
I heard. I watched that Fact or Freestyle, dude. I was working Chenga actually, and it was slow, so I just put that on and watched it. I was laughing. I never heard that. I never heard that, but I don't doubt it. Because,
I don't doubt it. No way. I don't doubt it because the story was too good. I mean, it was so on point.
Oh, you could just look at his facial expression. Like, he was authentic. Like, he could tell it was bad, but there had been so much time, he didn't feel bad saying it now. But you could tell, like, at the time, he probably kept it low key.
Yeah, exactly.
I never heard that, but there were a lot of questionable. How about that? A lot of questionable things that happened at and around those contests.
Wow, that was great. Well, good. That's not a confirmation, but I think it's, it's plausible. So Joe will take that as that it's still fact in this case. So I wanted to bring up something, and maybe Joe, you've seen this, and I don't know why I've been inundated by this on my stream, on my Instagram, mostly, where there's these mountain bike riders that are like from different countries. I think India is one place maybe, and they're doing this crazy, like, flatland stuff, a little bit of street, a little bit of flatland, it seems like. But they're never riding out of it, though. It's kind of like they do some cool stuff, but they put their foot down or what. And I'm just wondering, is this the trend? Do I have to get a 24-inch? Do I get a titanium, axle? And
the combo's not done until you step on the ground.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah, that's how we used to ride in Mission Beach. We would just ride until we were like mess up,
Scott has brought this to my attention.
So you've experienced
it. I can't stop seeing it. It's the funniest thing. Once you see it, okay, you can't not see it. And it's the funniest thing because it's so disappointing because you're like, wow, look at that. He's like pedaling and then he steps off and he's like,
yeah, so this might be stepping on some toes. It is a step past, or it's like the evolution past the riders that will be like in their run or whatever, they're doing something and they're doing like their tricks and the back tire keeps hitting the ground. It's like when you're doing a combo and the back tire hits the ground, combo's dead. Like, it's done. Like, you don't keep going and act like, oh my God, that was the craziest thing ever. It's like, no, your tire touched the ground, you're done. This was like a step past that.
Okay,
hold on a second. I went to York Jam. So in 2014, Scott Nagy and I rented like a Suburban with 20-inch wheels. We go to York Jam. I'm totally stoked, and I'm sitting next to Brian Huffman, and this is at the secret spot the night before, and Isaiah is riding, and Brian goes, "Watch out!
Whoa, hold on, sorry.
Watch how many times his wheel touches the ground." And really? He goes, "Yeah, what you see, you can't stop seeing it, can you?" And Isaiah is like knocking him out. It was great. And he's like, he touched. See him touch? Combo's done.
Okay,
that was Huffman telling you that?
That was Huffman telling me that when we were watching Isaiah.
Okay, Hagnas, I have one for you. factOrFreestyle. When Scott Powell is a judge, he doesn't write down how many times you touch. He actually writes down the number of times that you touch each peg and each pedal.
Oh,
factOrFreestyle.
I'm going to go with freestyle on that one.
You think? Is it freestyle, Scott?
I would concur.
Oh, it's freestyle, Joe. See, he doesn't.
I thought it was plausible. I thought you looked over his shoulder and you saw he had like a grid that said right side, left side, forward,
right peg,
backward,
back,
rego, elbow.
And there's this whole matrix that he has to it, and he's got this formula. Like him and Marty have these spreadsheets that they
it's like,
work out.
It's like scoring in baseball, right? Yeah, like that was a 1-3-4 combo.
A little bit more. I'll do a little bit more than just like writing touches down, but it's not that crazy. It's not that involved.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with Scott. I'm not going to talk about the two riders, but we were debating. It was like really close. And actually Scott was judging and he goes, I can do all of that. I can do all that guy's tricks. They're flashy, but they're not hard. I know that other guys. He could like. Do you remember this conversation that we had, Scott? Or is this a very common?
You're talking about Powell, right? You're talking about Powell.
Talking about Powell.
So I vaguely remember it, but I definitely I can do kind of a lot of different variety, I guess, of stuff. So I'll take that into account when you're watching riders. If you have two guys that are like flawless, you got to look at different things like originality or difficulty. And if you're doing really hard or weird stuff versus the guy that did more stock stuff, it's like, yeah, the guy that was out there a little bit more should win if they were both flawless. Because you get to a point where it's like, well, what do you've got to start splitting straws, you know, if nobody touches. That's the hardest part about judging is the riders now are so dialed. Like if you go to a contest and let's say, you know, whatever, whichever one, but the top 5 guys don't touch.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, now you got to start having other criteria that you're like, you as a judge, you're almost hoping that people touch because it makes your job more, easier and more definitive.
Yeah, because you have to dig really deep when you start to look at, okay, like if you're looking at Matthias's run, it's like, okay, how many tricks were new for Matthias, or is that just like his book of tricks that he does? Is he stretching and going a little bit further? I remember one time I had this conversation with Ephraim, and it was at a Battle of the Rockies, and I beat Dax, and I said to Ephraim, I'm like, I don't understand how I beat Dax. Like he's doing spinning turbine, cliffhangers, spinning, like all these spinning, death trucks and all this stuff. And I was like, how could you have judged me? And this was after the contest. You were actually there, Scott. Maybe I had the conversation with you too. And basically I was explaining that because I had more, like not only originality, but a variety of tricks, that's what set me above Dax in that case.
Yeah.
But I think that's what you're saying, Scott.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, to name names, let's say you go to a contest and you have Dub, Dom, and Matthias. Those are 3 easy ones. Let's say they all ride flawless. None of them touch. It's like, obviously, Dub and Dom are doing completely different things, and Matthias is almost like an in-between, where he's doing some kind of Dub-ish stuff, slight Dom stuff, but some other stuff. And it's like, well, now who won? It's all good. It's all hard, and it's all good. So who won? That's where it gets like really hard. That's why I said, as a judge, you almost hope somebody touches because it's like, well, they touch, so obviously.
Yeah.
But that's not always the case either, you know?
Hey everybody, so here's the time. This is when we're gonna come in and do the Flatland Fuel $20 gift certificate giveaway. There's gonna be a code that flashes on the screen. Go, write this down and go immediately to Flatland Fuel. Buy something, enter this code. It will be a total pain in the ass. It's like 20 characters long. Go ahead and get your money and buy some bike parts from Flatland Fuel because they're sponsoring the show now.
I remember back in the day at an X Trials, Trevor pulling flawless run. This goes into a whole other can of worms that we won't open, but I'll just say Trevor pulling a flawless run and getting 4th. And Marty blatantly touching disconnect from the bike and winning. And I remember Trevor just being so confused and bummed. I was not judging at that contest, but I was like, yeah, Trevor got robbed because the level of stuff that Trevor was doing was like, unsurpassed. Uh-oh, look, we got a guest.
But I have one for you, Hagnas. And I'm not sure if I read this somewhere or maybe even dreamt this, but the Hagnas format that you're developing, there's going to be like an MLM aspect to it that people can sign up and then get like residual, something with YouTube. Because I know that when you sign up with your program, it's great because you get all these videos, you get to watch these short little videos on these exercises, and then these commercials pop up. You only got like these 8-minute workouts, and then you have to sit and watch a 5-second commercial. So there's obviously a residual income. I'm thinking you probably make about 43% of your income from your YouTube ads?
Well, actually, it turns out, no. So yes, you
Oh.
can monetize YouTube, but you have to have a certain number of subscribers and hours watched and various things. No, recent YouTube rule changes mean they can throw ads on your video and you're not monetized for it all they want.
So you're not
I'm not, yeah,
financially
no.
free. You're not the path, because like Scott Powell was talking about, I was really banking, like maybe I was just having this as a dream that
You might have had
hey,
it as a
Scott
dream.
Hagnas,
Well,
you
I
signed
was
up with
surprised
this
because I was ended up watching one of my own videos because I couldn't remember how I described something in it, and I was surprised that an ad came up first. And I was like, "Well, that's weird," because I know I wasn't over the threshold yet, and so I did some digging, and that's what I found out. So that's why they've started showing up on there.
Well, what's the threshold? What's the threshold? Because we can help to do that. We can get the word out.
Yeah, I
Get your
forget
viewers
what
up.
it is off the top of my head, but it's pretty easy to find out. You can just
It's
Google it.
views or subscribers? It's views.
I believe it's both. And
Combination.
it's an amount of hours. So like me with these little short videos will take a lot of watching to accumulate the time. Like if you're, like if you have a podcast like this and you throw it up on your YouTube, right? It's however, hour, 2 hours or more long, right? Then that's gonna you'll get a lot more hours. So yeah, I
It's
want to
a
get down that eventually with longer videos, and I'd like to do some interviews with some people as well in the writing world that curious what different people do, health wise.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit now, because here you have two of your clients, and I want to give a plug, and we've got, I think we're up to 26, 27 subscribers now. I mean, we're like setting the world on fire. We've only been doing this for 10 months.
Yeah.
Pretty spectacular.
That's a good ratio.
And so obviously it's not about the numbers for us. But,
yeah.
For me, okay, so I've only been doing this for a couple months with you, and I haven't been riding a lot because I've been busy getting this house ready for the market. Like really have been hardly riding at all. But when I went to Ohio to like prank Joe, because Joe didn't even know I was showing up. Powell, did you hear about that story?
No.
Okay, I'll just do a little brief. So I showed up at Dayton because there was a show that RL was there, and Joe told me, hey, RL's going to be in Dayton, and I'm going to go and like hang out with him, and I'm going to get him to ask for my autograph.
Wait a second, Scott. You didn't see the picture of RL waiting in line for my autograph?
I did see that and was a little confused because I didn't know where it was or what, like,
okay,
because you
so
just went on this RL tip, so all of a sudden there's a picture of you with him. I'm like, was this pre-staged or what? Like,
so here's what's funny about this, and Hagnas, you can enjoy this as well. I flew to Chicago to spend some time with my dad and my brother. When I get there, my brother, who's about 5 years younger than I, said, oh, you know that Skyway that you gave me? Skyway is the bike that I rode in my very first contest. And we've come to find out that Skyway is the way. Like all roads lead to Skyway.
All roads lead to Skyway.
And seriously, I basically said, yeah, I remember. He's like, it's been sitting in my garage or the basement for almost 30 plus years. And I'm like, what? Where? Like, let's go get it. I pull it out. It's completely rusted. I rent a car and go down to Dayton to this show. I pull up. I've got this hat on. I've got these glasses. We're still doing masks, so I got a mask on. Everyone that saw the bike was like, whoa, Skyway TA. It's an 84. And it's rusted out. I didn't even dust off the cobwebs. And the guys were like, I'll give you $600 right now. Another guy's like, I'll give you 1,000. Like within 20 minutes, I had like 3 offers. One guy said, I'll give you $1,500 right now. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm going to put pegs on it and ride it. Because apparently it's Dave Nourie's bike and it was his first contest bike. And they're like, what? No, you can never prove that. You can never prove that. And, and some guys didn't even know who Dave, they're like, Dave Mira? No, Dave Nourie. He used to ride for Haro back in the day. He's a ground rider. And anyhow, meanwhile, Joe doesn't even know I'm there. I've only told Todd Cotter. And so finally I go up and I asked Joe for an autograph. And Joe, he did not even know it was me until he came up and he looked at me and he was like, what? He's like trying to figure out who I was. Because again, I have a mask, sunglasses, and a hat. And I got this Skyway TA. Anyhow, it was epic. And we did the same thing with RL. And RL, I said, hey, RL, I'm really a big fan. Can I take a picture with you? And he's like, sure, sure. And then Todd's like, hey, why don't you do a trick on your bike? That'd be cool. So I just went right into a Nourie handstand. And Todd's like, hey, whoa, gosh, and you kind of look like Dave Nourie. Anyhow, I got both of them pretty good. So my point is, Scott Hagnas, going back to this workout, is that my body's been feeling absolutely amazing. I cannot even tell you, like, so much. I've been working crazy hours, and then I still am not like, I don't have the back pain. I don't have the tennis elbow. All those things have gone. So I just have to say, like, hats off to you, because you've got some good things going for sure.
Well, glad to hear that. Yeah, it's
Dave, what trick did you say that you did for RL?
Oh, I did the Palacio stand. I'm sorry. I did the Palacio stand, not the Nourie. It's gonna take me a while.
Oh, now I know which
The
one.
Palacio stand, you know, that one that I stole from Dean.
I'll add to that. All things going back to Skyway. I could be wrong, but I swear, I had a beat. I want to say it was a street beat. Did the street beat have the luggage rack?
Yeah,
You did.
Yeah.
You did ride those.
Right? Yeah, I had a street beat with that. The paint was stripped off, so it was raw. I was young. I was like whatever age, 17, 18. I didn't know about clear coating, so it was all rusted. So when you go to ride, I'd use like steel wool to clean it off so I could ride so it wasn't rusted. And that is the bike that did pachyderm, made up pachyderm on. It was a Skyway.
Yep.
This is very strange.
All roads lead to Skyway. We're finding this out. It's like it's coming up time and time again. What are some examples, Joe?
So one was the origin of scuffing, Oleg Koning.
Oh wow! Which trick was that?
It was, I believe, it was backyard.
Backyard.
I spent.
Backyard?
I spent like an hour talking to Carly Garcia about all of this.
There was Ole Koning. Remember, he used to he'd be doing like a fork wheelie, and then he'd step over and have his foot on the frame, and then like have his hands backwards, and then he'd just stick his foot like really high in the air, like completely dumb, you know, but not even a trick, but trying to pass it off as a trick. There was this kid that wanted to learn how to ride, but he was just this goofball. This is Pine Days, so we're talking like 92, 93. And we were like, no, you have to do your warm-up tricks and your stretches first before we'll teach you the real freestyle. And that was one of the tricks we had him do. So while we're riding, you'd have this kid off the side doing the Ole Koning trick. We're like, no, your foot's not high enough. It's got to be higher. And then we made this like 10-minute tape. His name was Adam. It was called, we called it Let's Meet Adam. And it's total thrash metal with him like doing that and him laying on the bike stretching. And I remember sending it to DeGroot, and he just sent me this thing back. What is this? What? I'm like, that's 10 minutes you'll never get back. That's what that is. Just leave it at that.
That's so good. Scott Powell, you have to bring that back. You have to bring that back. I will subscribe to that. I will send it off to the kids that I'm working with. I'm like, okay, guys, if you're going to come to Gumbyland, you have to watch this video and you have to show up and you have to do these stretches on your bike. Are you talking about Maurice Meyer used to do it, where you're riding backwards and you're holding onto the handlebars and you're standing on the frame and then you put your foot like over the crossbar and put it up in the air? Is that the trick?
Yeah, just like high up in the air, and you're like, what is this guy doing? Like, what, you know? It's,
I remember this trick. Yeah,
it's Maurice Meyer. I think is the first person I see do it.
Yeah,
right.
I swear, and maybe it was Maurice Meyer. I was thinking it was Ole Koning, but I remember
it's Skyway. It doesn't matter. All roads lead to Skyway. That's what we're talking about.
It was a Skyway laid back seat post, but the seat post was like backwards. So like instead of it going up and back with the bike, it was like aiming forward, and you look at it and you're like, what the hell is this thing?
Wait, can I just say, Scott, I think I might have, the reason that I did the Gumby and the Palacio handstand, because my bars used to hit, because I had a Skyway. It was super short. I had these big wide handlebars and it would hit. And then I didn't have a quick release at first. I just would loosen it to lower it to do other tricks. But when I got the bike, it didn't even have a POTS mod on it. It didn't even have a POTS mod. So I might have contributed to the backwards layback seat post.
I got so bad.
But going back to the roads at least Skyway. So Joe, there's another example. Canadian nose pick, right? They call it Canadian nose pick. Hugo Gonzalez, and there was another guy from UK. What was his name? Andy Ruffle.
Something like that. Andy Ruffle.
Do you know those guys?
I've heard
I don't
the
know who
name.
he is, but I think I remember Ephraim talking about that guy, or somebody from England talking about that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Skyway. Oh, and then the best one, and this is really, I think, important because we had Eddie Fuel on the call, and then later we had Scotty Freeman. And Scotty was saying that he learned to do boomerangs from Eddie Fuel. And I thought, that's great. That's really cool. But Eddie Fiola couldn't ride out. Eddie taught Scotty Freeman how to do boomerangs, but he couldn't ride out. So it kind of brings up that point, like, who conceptualized the trick? Can you call it a trick if you don't ride out? Because that's kind of important, especially when you're judging.
Are you saying, like, if you conceptualized it, did you make it up, or do you have to pull it to claim that you did it?
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. It's hard to say. But going back to all roads lead to Skyway. So that's another example of the boomerang. Really, the first kid to do a boomerang was Scotty Freeman on Skyway.
So this is weird. Like when we started hearing this, I was convinced that everyone cared about who did what first. And we dug up, like, James McGraw on the backwards rubber ride did it a couple hours before RL did it in a contest, but RL did it in the contest, and so he got credit. I asked James White, and James White said, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. I brought the backwards rubber ride up to RL, and RL said, hey, I don't want to bust your bubble, but who gives a shit? And when we asked Matt Hoffman about the 900, he's like, no, actually, I mean, Mike conceptualized it. I just did it in a contest. But, like, I'm shocked at how many people, I'm appalled, not shocked, I'm shocked and appalled at how many people don't care who did it first.
You know who matters for who did it first? Usually the people that pull the stuff or made it up would at least want some kind of, not necessarily recognition, but just like the asterisk next to their name, like, yeah, I did that one. Versus if you made it up, or you made up all these things and nobody even acknowledged any of it, you might be kind of bummed. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I could get why certain people care and other people don't. Just like kind of like know your history, I guess.
Yeah, you have to know you because the person who did it first had to overcome the mental to, like, try to figure it out. First off, to say, oh, that's interesting. Second, to attempt to do it, you don't have any coach or guide, and if you commit, you don't know how long it's going to take, and so you don't know. You know, it's like,
can it be done?
Those 10 minutes. Yeah, can it be done? You're like, you'll never get the 10 minutes back. You are committing unlimited chunks of your life.
Yeah. Well, going back to the Canadian nose pick. So it was 1985. It was the pipeline contest, and Hugo started his run, rolled up to the end of the bowl, went in an Indo, and hopped in. And he did it in practice, and he pulled it, slammed, separated his shoulder. He was done. He kind of had a history with that because he did that also in Pleasanton at the AFA contest in '85, crashing.
Didn't he crash on everything?
Well, yeah, but those two contests, he took him out. He took him out. He crashed on everything, but usually it'd be at the end. But my point is that, like what you're saying, Joe, he definitely put his time and money into it and his body, but he also didn't have a name for it, I think. And I don't know, does anyone know how Canadian pick came in? Like who even named it that?
Canadian nose pick.
Yeah,
Was it Miron?
I think he was the one that really started doing them a lot, and it was different than the regular way people were doing those picks. That's kind of how I remember it.
Right.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
I know it's like nose pick is obviously you're riding up the ramp and go into it versus if you were on the deck and you just endo into the ramp, you know? Just because you could roll up and endo into the ramp does not mean you could fly out and land in nose pick.
Right.
So that would be it's like a subtle distinction, but that would be like the distinction.
Yeah.
So I could see why they might not say Hugo did Canadian. He may have done like, I don't know if you call it suicide, but like going straight in.
Yeah.
But he did. If he didn't like fly out, you know, it's a little bit different.
Well, and it's also like he didn't pull it.
Yeah, I guess.
So, I mean, Joe, you've been in that situation. I think you have a little, I don't know, maybe you're over it now. Maybe it's all good for you, but.
I know what you're getting at.
Well, you know what's weird is that back then in the 80s, guys it seemed like there was more cases of guys would show up and in a contest, even in some of the 90s, like the Hoffman contest that we would go to, they would be like, get all psyched and amped because of the energy of the contest and just try something that they've never done.
Yeah.
But now there's no way, like, I mean, pick any dude. Well, to keep in flat, it's easy. Pick like Matthias or Dub or Dom. They're not showing up to the contest, going to be in the finals and all pumped, and I'm going to throw this trick I've never even done before. No way. Like, they're going to do something. Oh, yeah, that was insane. That's a good video to watch.
Okay.
That whole thing.
This actually brings up something. So this happened in 2015, this picture sequence.
Yeah.
Right?
Dave and Scott, do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Have you seen? Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool. It's really cool to watch.
But in 2017, the documentary came out.
Whoa, man, that's insane. Jesus.
Wait for it.
Wait. Oops.
Oh, like did he pull it? Is what you're trying to say, or what are you trying to say?
Wait. No, he's got it. He's good. He's good. I mean, I'm a judge. I'm judging that right there. Okay. I've marked down his, like, oh, oops. Oh, Joe. Joe, what do we need to do?
What is your question, Joe?
Well, before I ask the question, this has been, I am relieved now. There have been two people who knew that the pedal that I tapped, that I hit the pedal and it went into my right ankle and I was not ready to do the ride out. And so now I'm coming clean and I'm asking people, does it count?
I'd say the main trick certainly counted because you lost it well after that, right? In other things,
I would agree. I would agree with you, Scott. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think, Joe, I think we've kind of already covered this. Like, this has been our third show now. You've processed us all. I feel like, I don't know how many more people. Okay, so now we can.
Well, I don't need to ask any more people because my mentor said that it counted.
Can we just let
that's all? That's all that matters.
Because we got Scott Powell.
There's no appellate court. Scott. my
The
trainer,
only other person is maybe
men-
Marty. Maybe Marty could, because you're working with Marty. We need to get his site. But I also think of somebody, because there's a guy in Colorado, and his name is Jason Rideout. That's his last name. Is
he
Rideout.
never rides out. Well, sometimes he rides.
I'm gonna
But
try to
that's
get him
a-
on this call. If I can get on that, can we just let it to rest? Because Joe has this tendency, Scott's, you guys probably know this about it, where he just keeps going. The Gumby vendetta, I don't know if you heard about that. It's like, oh yeah, Nourie went into seclusion for 2 months because Dean Palacio stole his thunder. And yeah, Nourie went and just did the Gumby, and supposedly he made it up 10 minutes before his run. I had my mom on the show. I said, okay, Joe, let's get my mom on and she can contest. Now he still thinks that I just like paid her off, or like, Mom, just say that you made it up. Like, cause I want Joe to, it's this ongoing thing. So maybe we need to get some other help. Maybe it's more of a mental, does anyone know like some,
maybe he needs a third coach. So he'd have a mentor for riding. He'd have Marty for coaching the tricks, and he's Scott for doing the physical thing. Maybe he needs another, like a mental, like somebody that was more in the psychology part of it.
who do we know that's a psychiatrist or something? That's what we need.
Sports psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Who's a
sports?
psychiatrist?
Somebody's got a ride that's a sports psychiatrist, right?
Who?
I mean, I do
don't
know.
Somebody.
Like there is a sports psychologist in town I've seen before. He wrote the book Sports Psychology for Dummies. But do we know any rider who's a psychiatrist?
There's got to be somebody.
Can't think of any offhand, but
Oh, I mentioned him earlier. Dax. Isn't Dax the guy that?
Dax,
yeah.
Is he a psychiatrist?
He actually is, but he just graduated from his internship like 3 days ago. So
that
do
you want to be
not qualified?
Well, do you want to be the first guy to ride the roller coaster? I'm just saying, like, give him a couple of months. And
somebody's got to do it. So if you pull a trick when you're done, 3 minutes, 5 minutes later, does that mean you didn't do the trick yet? No, you just did it. It's done.
All right.
Okay,
well,
Larry,
that makes me feel much better.
So if you were judging that,
if you ask Dax, can you hold up the piece of paper showing that you completed the course? Would he be able to do that?
Yeah, he would. He would, and I believe him too.
There you go.
All right.
Maybe you know your next phone call.
I think I do know my next phone call. Well, this is good because I have a mentor, a coach, a physical trainer, and now I'll get a shrink.
Yeah. Very, very good.
It takes a team.
Yep.
Exactly.
It takes a village to get me in line.
And we're talking about longevity here. So Joe, it's a community, right? And as we get, 10 years from now, we're going to be there looking back at this and go, you know what? We were there for you, Joe. We got you through this. Scott Powell was speaking from his heart. Hagnas was there. I was there. We're all just like, okay, you came clean. Now you've got it's off your chest. And
you know what they say is like,
I'm going to try to get Rideout on.
That by and large, men don't seek the medical attention that they ought to. So I'm trying to break that.
A minute to join our.
Trying to break that mold.
Break that mold.
That's good.
Break that stereotype.
That's what I do. That's how you progress. You keep breaking the mold.
I'm doing a factOrFreestyle.
Yeah, mold breaking.
Yeah,
mold
breaking. Yeah.
It's on Zoom. I just sent you the link.
Now who's he got?
Okay. Jason Rideout, which
just check.
That's a very ambitious last name. Quite frankly, like that's a lot of pressure.
Well, we're gonna go there. Like they say, the only way through is through, right? So while we're waiting, I think we can get Jason Rideout, and he'll be like the final verdict on this, Joe.
You know what? Well, Dave, can I add this?
Yeah, of course.
So Marty is like is good and getting even better at like coaching with the tricks, like techniques of learning and all that. if I was going to coach Joe and be like, let's say he was going to do for Master Creativity, and he showed me that, and let's say he pulled that one, like pulled the backyard part, because he definitely did the jump. He did the jump. He got to the backyard and was definitely in the backyard. So that that connection was done, completed, but he just didn't ride out of the backyard, which he can do. He's done it a ton of times. So of course he can do that. Well, let's say he pulled that one. I would have guided him, or if he was under my guidance, there'd be no way I would let him release that footage. Because if you do go back and watch that footage, now I'm not jabbing Joe, but it's too damn sketchy. Like his arms flailing, like he's shaking, like he's like I would make him redo it. Like you pulled it once, you could do it again. And the second time or the next day, if you come back the next day, guarantee you he would be able to do it quicker and smoother. So I would keep making him do it until it was like smooth. There's been a ton of times where, and I practice what I preach, a ton of times where I've had footage, watched it, been awesome tricks, and I'm like, dude, it's too damn sketchy. Like, I'm not putting this out. Like, burn it, erase it, delete. Like, you did it once, you could do it again.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point, because I know for me, when I was riding, it was all about like the flow and the style, and I rode that to the bank because Dean Palacio stole my trick. No, I'm just kidding. And
because you needed another shot at it.
But I'd watch someone like Eddie Fiola. He'd do a slider right into a quick spin, and like when I first learned that, it was so choppy and ugly, and I didn't like want to do it until I felt like it was like in my body and like totally part of my routine. Yeah. And then people see that and they're like, wow, it's just basically making it so that you own it. So Joe, you got to just own that trick. Yeah, I agree. And now if you were in a physical contest, this is one other like asterisk, I guess. If you were in a physical contest, like you're at the feast contest and you get sketchy, of course, the name of the game of the contest is you don't touch the ground. So in that case, you're just doing it. But if you're putting out a specific video that you have total control over, it's got to be dialed. It's got to be dialed or just go delete, Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. So I have a question for Scott Powell.
Fact or freestyle? Bob Harrow is an overgripper.
Is Bob Harrow an overgripper?
I don't know. I don't know.
How could you not know?
Well, I've met Bob at like one or two of the inner bikes, and I think I just maybe said hi or anything, but it wasn't like formally greeted, so I didn't like don't remember shaking his hand. I don't know, Scott, have you met him?
I've not actually ever met him face to face. No.
Oh yeah, I'm not. So there's two inconclusives, I guess.
Okay, inconclusive. Okay. We're trying.
So I have an idea. Just follow me here. James McGraw is going to have Battle with Alliteration in late October, right? Right? He's going to have his contest, Battle in the Rockies, end of October.
Okay.
Bunch of people go there.
Yep.
James also has unnamed shadow sponsors that provide money. Is it probable that Bob Harrow would accept an invitation to that contest to set the record straight? Do you think that Bob Harrow would accept a flight out, accommodations, and he has nothing to do other than take in the wonderful contest and shake people's hands?
Now you're not going to tell him that it's not an experiment, but kind of like an experiment to find out if he's an overgripper, are you?
It would corrupt the experiment if he had foreknowledge that it was an experiment. So we should not. In fact, what? So James McGraw, under the guise of AFA, the first AFA post pandemic. What do we think would get? How would you guys sell that idea to Bob?
I don't think he would go unless he was like paid somehow to be like, say, oh, we want to bring you out as one of the guys that started Flatland and just have you there as an icon to be at the contest as like, oh yeah, I'm one of the founders of Flatland where BMX riding, trick riding is at the contest. I don't know. Maybe he would, but he would probably definitely want like the whole trip paid for, even if he didn't get like paid on top of that.
Yep.
That's my guess.
Be an expensive experiment.
Hey, science isn't cheap.
But science, right?
Science is not cheap, but it's deeply important.
Is he in LA? Roughly LA?
Was this San Diego?
San Diego, yeah, Carlsbad.
Okay.
I mean, Bob goes to events, but he doesn't go to very. I mean, I think it would be a shot in the dark. It's
like if you offered like a plane, obviously the plane ticket would be San Diego to Denver, and then probably a rental car or maybe a hotel room. So, it sounds like it's like a $300 or $400 experiment. Great science project.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important. And people, so there were a ton of dudes who came out to the bike show because RL was the anchor celebrity. Yeah. So, and they didn't even know that I was showing up. So
think what could have been.
I would think what could have been to hype Bob Harrow. Jason Rideout.
All right, guys, I'm trying to get Jason on, and he's having a little bit.
He's coming.
Oh, here he comes. Great.
I see him.
He's just there. He is. Hey, what's up, Jason?
So first off,
how are you doing?
Just
good,
state your name.
My name is Jason Rideout. I was living in Colorado. Now I recently moved to the state of Maine. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Yes.
I forgot that update. I just told these guys, can you delete that? Because I don't want to be, misquoted, Joe. I just told everyone you were from Colorado.
I'm actually from Maine, and I moved to Colorado like 20 some years ago. So.
Okay.
And I just recently went back to the state of Maine.
Okay, so
why go back to Maine?
I guess it's sort of like being in Ashland, Oregon, right?
Yeah, but what drew you back there? Because that's where your roots are?
That's where my roots are. Yep.
How's the riding scene there?
I have a few friends here that ride. I'm trying to get them situated with bikes right now. But yeah,
do they ride out of their tricks or do they touch a lot?
Oh, everybody touches a lot. That's just the way it goes. But yeah, they're all my age, and we had like a crew of like 8 to 9 people back in the day, up in the middle of nowhere.
Nice.
That's great.
I did do shows in Maine. I remember it was quite fun. So
oh, really? Cool.
Yeah. So I have not to put you on the spot, Jason, but this is kind of like there's someone's life that is riding on this basically this your opinion on this particular situation. So Joe, could you roll the clip for our friend Jason so that he can chime in on this? So Joe will kind of lead you and tell you what's happening.
Gotcha.
So you recall this photo, right?
Yes, I do. Yep. Hello?
So this photo sequence was published in 2015.
Okay.
And then the documentary came out.
Gotcha.
The documentary came out in 2017.
Yeah, you guys are breaking up right now.
Can you hear us?
I don't have. Yeah, it's kind of breaking up on me right now.
Hey, roll the clip again and try it again. Did you get to see it, Jason?
Were you able to see the
Yeah,
video?
I've seen the clip before. So you guys have a question about the clip?
Yes. So here's the question about the clip. Okay, so this part happened, but then this part happened.
Okay.
So the question is, well, Dave, how would you ask the question?
So Joe did this phenomenal trick.
Yes.
And then he posted it and got all kinds of, I mean, he basically shot to the top of the charts. He reached his fame. Everyone started lining up for autographs. I mean, his world changed, right? He even had to
My
buy
life
a
did
house.
change.
He had to buy a house in seclusion because of the fan base that he was establishing.
Right.
And so he didn't write out. So the question is, should he still get credit for it?
No credit unless you ride out of the trick, man. Sorry. Or if you have the last name Rideout, you don't have to ride out of the tricks.
Ah! Joe, I'm sorry. This is just not gonna. You're gonna have to just. I don't know what you're gonna be able to do with yourself.
So this is what I think I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah.
Once I get my whiplashes, and I'm at 3 right now. Once I get up to like 5 or 6 or 7, I am going to have to change direction, and I am going to have to go slay that dragon, and I am going to have to go get a clean Terradoom, which means I will need my coach, I will need my mentor, I will need my physical trainer, and I will need my shrink.
Can I ask real quick? Why haven't you already done that?
Yeah, I mean, what's the wait here?
There's a good answer to that.
He's been hiding it all this time.
No. There's a good answer to that. So one of the other tricks that I was working on, and in fact, I teased this at the end of my 2018 edit, was the Jaffa Doom, where you do a Jaffa and then you jump. And I was getting feet on, which is insane. Jaffa and then jump, getting feet on. And I spent like 6 months in 2017. I was going for it as my last, as the last round in Master Creativity. I didn't get it. I went all the way to the end of the year. It was painful, and I switched gears. And then in 2020, as I was working with Marty to do a video contest, I started to break down the Terradoom, where I would do this like no-handed crack and then just slap the seat, and that did 2 things. It slowed the descent of the seat, and then it gave me like leapfrog. When you leapfrog over, just by having your hands anchored, you can pivot your body around that. And then that was the start of me breaking it down. And then I lost the Terradome. 3, I was not able to ride for 4 months until the weather broke here. And then I got obsessed with whiplashes because I never could figure out whiplashes. So I said, everything else is on pause. I'm going to slay this whiplash dragon. But just like any dragon, just like any boss that you slay, there is another one.
Wait, no, you trained Joel, so maybe Joel can't train you. This has to be you training you. So.
Yes.
I don't understand though. If you're like you trying your whiplash thing, that's fine. That's cool with no, whatever else. But why couldn't you be like, okay, for even not even thinking of a time frame, let's just say 3 songs. Okay, for 3 songs a session, I'm just going to try that jump. And it'll break up the monotony of the whiplashes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe work on the jump part, and then it will become easy after that. Just leave the rest out of it for now.
Coming from Rideout himself.
Yeah, which I usually ride out at least 50% of the time. But there's also James McGraw. He does those flip tricks, and it's like sort of a jump. Maybe get some ideas from him.
He showed me a picture of his hand. So he was also in Master Creativity, and we were flying to some contest. We were in the airport, and he was sending me pictures of his hand because he was trying to get the flip, and he was just destroying his hand because I can see that slams or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's definitely the potential of rolling an ankle or doing any, there's with anything that's a jump, there's a possibility of really putting yourself out, for a while. So I guess you totally visualize it, focus on it, see it in your head first, and then just go for it, man. Go for it.
So Joe, can we lay this to rest? Can you just go into hibernation for a little bit in your writing scene and then come out with your edit? And we can.
Yeah, like maybe like a full year. Like a full year, like there's no Joe for a while, and then all of a sudden he comes back, different riding style and everything. Kind of like how Alex changed all his stuff up,
Hurtin' bombs. Just work on hurtin' bombs.
We talked about that on one of our shows, Joe. Remember what it would be like if someone just took a year off?
Yeah, like if Matthias didn't post anything. You know who's doing that is Keo. Keo is doing, there is stuff that Keo is doing in his video contest that damn well he could have. Like if Keo were James McGraw, that stuff would have been showing up. But we think he's being coached to hide that stuff. To do it, hide it, and then debut it in a 3-minute freaking combo.
Scott Powell, did you used to do that? Would you come up with stuff and then just keep it under your hat until a contest, until edit?
I mean, think about it. When I was riding in the contests, it was kind of pre-social media, so nobody would see you.
Right.
From contest to contest. And I mean, yeah, you'd learn stuff and film it or get stuff on tape and just put it on the shelf, and then you'd either come out with a full edit that would be stacked with stuff, or you'd show up at a contest and throw 1 or 2 things in. But I actually never had, out of all the contests I went to, there was one X Games where I had my run set, but other than that, I never had a contest run set. I'd show up, I'd literally show up and just freestyle it. Like, it would be, whoever Tunney would be riding before me, Chad would be sitting next to me, and I'd be up next, and I'd look at him and be like, what should I try? And he'd just laugh and be like, do some stuff, man. Just like,
Did anyone ever put Coke on your brake shoes before your run?
No, I never had that. I've heard of stuff like that.
That's brutal.
Yeah, no, nobody ever did that.
That's just wrong.
That's
but
cheating,
I would
right?
go out and literally just try whatever I was kind of working on at the time would be what I would do. But for other things, not huck it, but you just be like, oh, I'm working on these G-turn type combos. Okay, I'll pick one that I think is cool. Okay, that's the one I'm feeling right now. Let me hit it. Yeah. But as far as other tricks, there was stuff for like upside down decades is an easy one. By the time I did it in a contest, I had already done, 5, 6, 7 variations of it. So I pretty much had it down and would just kind of do the basic one. Oh, here's this one. And, but people hadn't seen it, and there wasn't social media stuff. So you weren't just pumping out stuff as soon as you did it. I never took to that either. There's this thing called the Vault that Joe knows about, where when I hit stuff, I just watch it. Well, okay, that was dialed. I'll save it. I'll throw it in the vault. And then at some point, maybe I'll put stuff out. I don't know.
That's good to have a vault though. It's kind of nice. It's like your.
Oh yeah.
It's like your
Scott.
your safety.
When Scott does the vault, it will be the longest long form video in history. It will be like if you were to watch the entire Dorkin box set back to back twice. That's how long.
Nice.
You will need a YouTube Premium subscription to be able to upload a 5-hour full overlength. The video would be an overlengther.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. That's why I don't think it should ever come out. Just leave it be there, and we'll put it in a space capsule or time capsule and let it go.
Changa Uncut